The 29th Nigerian Economic Summit kicks off with a theme, Pathways to Sustainable Economic Transformation and Inclusion. Players in the insurance sector to redefine safety solutions for buildings in Nigeria as National Insurance Conference commence. Plus, oil prices ease as aid convoys arrive in embattled Gaza Strip. The program is Business Express reaching you from Abuja, our network center. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. Now let's begin by telling you that the public buildings and buildings under construction in Nigeria receiving attention in a bid to redefine safety insurance solutions to avert losses as a result of building collapse. This takes center stage at the National Insurance Conference with an objective to redefine the sector for economic development.
Broaden insurance product offerings and improve effectiveness of distribution channels. Enhance digitization of the insurance industry, deepen the industry's talent pool and capacities, and support Nigerian economic transformation and sustainability agenda.
It provides a safety net for business in the economy as it indemnifies losses and brings individuals and businesses back to the position they were prior to the occurrence of losses.
I want to suggest that insurance sector capitalization should also move to 1 billion naira.
We need to improve penetration rate in insurance penetration, so to say, in Nigeria. Nigeria's economy is large. It's larger than the countries I've mentioned. But we are still doing a lot of physical deployment.
Now, the federal government has signed a 1 billion deal with the telecom infrastructure company IHS Tower to build learning communities across Nigeria for the 3 million technical talent program. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, announced the partnership on Monday. According to the minister, the 1 billion naira funding from IHS Towers also includes a commitment to paying the salaries of 37 dedicated learning community managers for each location for the next 3 years. The support came as a boost to the federal government's program, which seeks to train 3 million Nigerians in technical skills over the next 3 years. And now to the Nigerian Economic Summit. Abuja is playing host to government officials, policymakers and captains of industries within and outside Nigeria and officials of development finance institutions, among others, at this year's 29th Nigerian Economic Summit, and the annual program by the nation's leading think tank, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. This year's event will serve as a platform to deliberate on topical issues that hurt economic transformation and inclusion, with the theme Pathways to Sustainable Economic Transformation and Inclusion. And ESG will be positioning itself as a platform in the middle of the current global discourse, wherein many developing and emerging economies have attempted to break the shackles of underdevelopment and poverty. Now Nigeria, like many other countries, has a complex system of taxation and revenue generation. They will consider a civic duty. Tax remittances a significant source of revenue generation that helps the government to meet its statutory obligations. However, its multiplicity and duplication by government agencies has turned it into a clog in the wheel of progress for companies, micro, small and medium scale enterprises as well. well, business is struggling to survive amid worsening economic conditions and unfriendly operating environment. Today on the program, we take a look at taxation and revenue generation at the Federal Inland Revenue Service to increase the country's tax to GDP ratio to 18% from 10.86%. To discuss this with me is Professor Ezekiel Eden Williams, chartered accountant, chartered tax practitioner, chartered manager, chartered secretary, and chartered administrators. Well, it seems like a lot is, chartered. Well, welcome, welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, viewers.
Well, since a lot is, chartered attached to it, how do we chart our way into reforming our tax system and what our objective to increase revenue in the country?
Yeah, thank you very much. The process of transformation of the tax system has been a going project. And I want to tell you and assure you and also the viewers that Nigeria has really been doing the best. Nigeria has been the leading in Africa in terms of that, coming from the fact that taxation now has been purely professionalized. We have the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria that has been empowered by the Act to ensure compliance to the tax laws by way of wanting to see that whosoever is doing issues that have to do with the tax has to be regulated by them. They issued, conduct exams. Those, when you pass and you have the requisite experience, you are given the license to practice taxation in Nigeria. So they now have two broadened perspectives. We have the tax administrators in government to practice taxation. We also have the tax practitioners to have the private sector, the taxpayers, all to make sure that there is a meeting point to the law and ensuring compliance as per the law. And today we can beat our chest to say the fact that Nigeria is able to optimize the issue of taxation.
Now, well, I believe you must have, you've been following development with the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform and fiscal and tax reform. So the question here, how does government plan to balance the need for tax revenues with necessity of providing relief to low-income citizens in Nigeria?
Yes, actually, Mr. Jodele, the chairman, a friend of mine, have been doing probably very well so far in the committee. And what we are saying here is that taxation is an issue of law. It's law that brings in taxation to fore. And whatever committee is doing, committee is going to make recommendations so that the requisite laws that must be made has to be made, and to the existing law or any other amendment to be made requisitely. And then the tax so far, the revenue so cutting should be in a circular flow from, in finance, we say finance is a movement of fund from the surplus spending unit to the deficit spending unit. So, and then that's the same cycle should apply to taxation. When the taxpayer pays his tax and then the government has received the revenue, there should be a circular flow from the taxpayer to the federal government, and the federal government should cushion that effect by way of amnesty back to the taxpayer. But if it is substituted, if there is no cushion effect factor, that's what the problem is. It's our advanced countries. Issues of ensuring that so much that if you hit your car the dent, they give you a new brand car. They cushion back the effect. So if I have a cushion effect factor, if I want to tax the whole of my income, I don't know anything to bother about, because I cannot pay tax and then become a local government of myself, provided my security, provided my boreholes, and provided my other utilities. But once the tax is paid, and government supplies it back by way of utility to the taxpayers, there is that circular flow of income. You'll be able to see that the taxpayer will be happy to pay, the government will be having enough fund, and that's what it is right now.
Okay, harmonization of taxes is also on the front burner. Which way to go? Which way do we go?
Yeah, the issue of harmonization of tax, has been an issue that has been on the front burner. And obviously, in 2015, there was an attempt, not even an attempt because it's an order, list of taxes, collectible Act Order 2015, has come to play, where harmonization comes to play. In taxation, we have what we call jurisdictions. That's to say that if you are operating in one state, for instance, you operate in a state like Lagos, then you pay tax in Lagos. The same tax you are paid in Lagos will be the same tax. The only tax you should pay everywhere in Nigeria. You're not supposed to pay the same tax anymore outside that. If you pay that same tax in other states, that's what we call the multiplicity of tax. And, to ensure this does not play, that Act 2015, was enacted. And in that Act, it was so harmonized that you pay a single tax. For instance now, if you hold and haulaged, haulage business, you haul and haulage in Benue State, you pay only once there at that point of loading the haulage fees. Of course, that's not tax; it's a fees anyway. And then when you get to where you are uploading this, any other place in Nigeria, you now pay the uploading fees there, another haulage. So in between your movement from Benue State to any part of the country, you're not supposed to pay any tax. So that is already on. So the issue is one, understanding, another issue is implementation. So if there's understanding and there's implementation, there's no problem. I keep telling and I keep saying that in Nigeria, because of the high degree of professionalism, there is nothing like multiplicity of tax. There's nothing like duplication of tax. Because if you assess anybody to tax and the person is not comfortable, there are ways of appeals, and the person goes through the appeals and he will not pay the tax. You see situation, no company in Nigeria can say I multiple tax. No company in Nigeria I stand to be corrected that can say I double pay tax. It isn't because this company has experts, professionals, who will, liaise on their behalf, consult on their behalf, and make sure that they pay the taxes they're supposed to pay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know whether you've done a comparative analysis between Nigeria and other countries. What do you think there for us to learn from other countries, countries that have more effective tax system?
Yep, of course. What we are doing is receive tax loans from United States. And as a researcher, I've been doing that. In fact, in my next books I'm going to write, it's going to be launched in United States, just as the one we have done in Nigeria. I just launched a book for last week, Thursday, on the taxation pendulum. And if you looked at it, you will see that the taxes as they are taxes that is taxable, and the practice is the same practice as a global practice. The Charter Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, okay, they have the WAOT, West African tax. They also have African tax. And so, we liaise and make sure that the jurisdictions, the tax base, the tax rates, and the tax laws are such that taxes that are allowable and meable and taxes are acceptable. I don't just go into it and raise any tax. So coming back there, Nigeria, I can tell you, see the best on it all. Because if you look at some rates of taxes in other countries, and particularly we are talking about value-added tax, Nigeria is the least of it all. So our tax here is highly professionalized, And that's why Nigeria is trying to be the best in Africa in issues of taxation. You get outside Nigeria to the Western world, we can beat our chest to eat. And that's it.
Okay, but Prof, you know the issue of tax is an issue of trust. How do we ensure transparency and accountability? Because the citizens now will give their tax and they expect something in return. How do we make sure that the money we give is put into the right use that will benefit the whole society?
I can give you 100% assurance. Why? It isn't because the system has been automated.
But is it about you giving assurance, or you tell us how?
I'm going to tell you how the
mechanism to put in place.
The assurance is the fact that your money is highly automated. As you make your payment, it goes to government cover. Nobody is allowed to pay cash to anybody. You pay your money to government cover, and your money gets straight on there to the cover, the federation account, and is adequately managed. Taxation is not an issue that you go on the road and anybody collect cash from you. That's a far gone. For today, taxation is highly automated. And if you want to pay anything of tax and levies, tell the parent, you give me the government account, you remit your money to the account of the government, you're not paying to any individual. And that is the process that makes it, assuredly, the trust element of it is proven. And if anybody comes to you and tell you pay me cash and tax, and you want to pay cash, don't ever try that. Everything is automated.
Before I let you go,
in fact, permit me to say, and the system current promotes, you can, at the comfort of your home, make your taxes paid to federal government.
Okay. Prof, before I let you go, just briefly, what would you like to see from this presidential committee on fiscal and tax reform?
Yeah, the presidential committee, what we're expecting is that they should have to do the needful in line with the law, so that we will not have much of litigation, because normally we are not supposed to rule, I mean, to say, but that's the truth. With executive orders. Executive orders in taxation have not been accepted in law, except to the content and the consistency in the law. If you bring anything that is repugnant to the existing laws, then we cannot fly on. So whatever they will do is to make sure that the requisite laws are amended, and either through the financial bills of the Finance Act of next year, or regulated by the current legislature. That's the only way. And once that is done, I believe they are chasing, the government will have enough of revenue to ensure that they don't need to borrow.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ezekiel Eden Williams. Thank you for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comment.
Now moving on, let's take a trip to the commodities market. Nigeria's oil earnings surged by more than 273.8 billion naira in September 2023 on the back of an increase in crude oil output by sector operators. According to the most recent figures from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Nigeria pumped 4.3 million barrels of crude oil last month. This was up from 36.6 million barrels of crude produced in August, implying that oil output increased by 3.8 million barrels in September. And as energy oil prices ease on Monday, as aid convoys started to arrive in the Gaza Strip over the weekend amid diplomatic efforts. diplomatic efforts, Brent crude futures fell 60 cents to $91.56 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures lost 61 cents to trade at $87.47 a barrel. Equities market drops by 0.42% in weekend at October 20th. Let's have details of that.
The all-share index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.42% to close last week at 66,915.41 basis points and 36.764 trillion naira. A total turnover of 1.496 billion shares worth 24.284 billion naira were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 1.047 billion shares valued at 12.709 billion naira traded in 13,667 deals. The ICT industry followed with 94.997 million shares worth 1.445 billion naira in 1,982 deals. The third place was the conglomerates industry with a turnover of 80.655 million shares worth 526.409 million naira in 1,459 deals. A total of 7,100 units of ETPs valued at 1.124 million naira were traded last week in 66 deals. From bonds, a total of 187,866 units valued at 196.534 million naira were traded in 28 deals. Trading in the top three equities were United Bank for Africa PLC, Fidelity Bank PLC, and Access Holdings PLC, and accounted for 447.125 million shares in 4,913 deals. On the summary of price changes, 28 equities appreciated in price during the week, 46 equities depreciated, while 83 equities remained unchanged. Olayinka Ojo for Business Express.
And now latest on the capital market. In the Nigerian equities market began the first week of trade in negative territory as the all-share index closed trading for the day at 66,876.92 basis point. At the end of Monday's trading session, 314.6 million shares value at 4.3 billion naira exchange hands in 6,133 deals. Market capitalization stood at 36.7 trillion naira. Our European market mix has global sentiment wavers. Let's join Ineka for an update.
Asia-Pacific markets continued their sell-off ahead of a week of inflation readings from across the region. The Nikkei 225 in Japan slipped 0.82% to end the day at 30,999.55. The Shanghai Composite also closed down 1.47%, while Hong Kong's markets are closed for a holiday. European markets also fell, extended last week's losses on concern that earnings are coming in weaker than expected. In Germany, the DAX slipped 0.34%. UK's FTSE declined 0.25%, while the French CAC bucked the trend with a 0.08% uptick. Stock futures in the US, like their Asian and European counterparts, ticked down in early trading as traders looked ahead to the release of corporate earnings from technology industry giants. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.16%, S&P 500 dipped 0.09%, and Nasdaq 100 also slipped by 0.1%. African markets started the week in mixed trading. The JSE Africa 40 in South Africa and Namibia's overall index were stocks in red, while the TUN index in Tunisia and Ghana's GSE Composite ticked up.
Well, that's it. Business Express returned Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. Thanks for watching.